There is one skill that I think women need more than any other skill when they're trying to leave an abusive, toxic, emotionally unsafe relationship, and it's not confidence. People think that they need this perfect plan or they have to wait until they are totally calm and so sure that this is exactly what they want to do. And the problem with abusive relationships is that there is an oscillation of knowing and not knowing and kindness and cruelty. So you never really land on a solid decision. The skill that you need is distress tolerance. This is just the ability to feel something and say it's uncomfortable or very intense or very painful. You might be terrified, you might be activated, and you don't immediately abandon yourself to make the feeling stop. He will use fear and all kinds of things to keep you in the relationship. So when you feel fear, you'll change your direction. When you feel guilt, you will change your direction. You will follow rather than listen to yourself. Women abandon themselves constantly. Now, a lot of women already know that they need to leave. And that's the problem. You know you need to leave, and then tomorrow, maybe you don't. You know the relationship hurts you, that he's abusive, that you cannot keep living this way. You know that your body never feels safe. You know that you basically don't exist in this relationship. So many women report that they feel invisible. They feel like a ghost. But okay, you know. So what? Because it doesn't actually create the ability to leave. The gap between knowing and doing is right here. And this is where distress tolerance is going to help you hugely. I hear from women all the time who want to know, how do I get out of this where he's not so angry? How do I get out of this when I don't want him to be hurting? Well, what if you just need to tolerate his anger? You need to tolerate the fact that he is pissed off, disappointed, and that he will always misunderstand you. Can you tolerate that feeling and still hold to your decision, to what you need to do to save yourself? And the cool thing about distress tolerance is that it's going to help you in all areas of your life. Your friend is upset with you? Cool. Distress tolerance. Your kids are upset? Okay. Your boss is disappointed? This is going to help you in all areas. Can you tolerate the feeling that someone is unhappy with you without immediately trying to fix it by betraying yourself? And I think that a lot of women don't necessarily see it as self-betrayal. But if you decide to leave your husband, leave your boyfriend because they're not treating you well or you're not happy and you want to do that, and they don't want you to do that, so you stay because they're using fear and anger and guilt and all these other feelings, obligation, whatever, hope to keep you in the relationship, and you don't leave because of those feelings, distress tolerance is going to help you. And this is not just a leaving skill, it's a healing skill. Because after abuse, you also have to learn how to stay loyal to yourself while other people are going to be extremely uncomfortable with the choice that you made. You might piss off your family, your community, your church may not believe in divorce. You may be choosing a completely different life. Other people are going to be upset with you. And again, even when you look at outside of an abusive relationship, people are going to be uncomfortable with decisions you make. That's okay. But what have you learned about making other people uncomfortable? Maybe you've been conditioned to feel this way. All of this, it is so deeply connected to this good woman training. Women, good women, trained, right, to preserve connection and keep the peace, be understanding, be forgiving, be the helpmate, be easy, be patient, be nice. You're always the one who can take it. Women are the ones that are expected to take the brunt of everything. If you've had a long day, doesn't matter. Keep going. Your family needs something. You have to clean. You have to drive somebody somewhere. You have to make dinner, all of this. And it can feel like proof that you're doing something wrong when you go against it and someone is upset or uncomfortable or pushes back at you. But that's the training. So if you can't tolerate the feeling, you will keep choosing peace, other people's peace, but at expense of your own peace with yourself. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly why distress tolerance is, in my opinion, the single most important skill that you need both to leave him and heal after him. How good woman training made this skill so much harder for women, and really how learning to tolerate other people's discomfort is going to make you harder to control, harder to abuse and manipulate. My name is Lisa Sonni. I'm a certified relationship coach. I'm the author of multiple books. And on this channel, I talk about what abusive men do. I expose their tactics and help women understand both the perpetrators of abuse and understand themselves. I help women rebuild, find self-love and self-trust so that you can live the best life possible. So a lot of women really feel like they want to wait until they're ready. As a coach, I talk to so many women that are like, I just want to feel sure that I should leave him. I'm not sure. Is he toxic? Is he abusive? Is he a narcissist? Am I making the wrong decision? Is this good for my kids? What's going to happen to me after? I want to feel certain. Human nature, it's such that you want that, right? We want sort of black and white answers. We don't like to do something when we're not sure that's the right thing to do. So you stay because you're waiting for certainty. You're waiting for there to be no guilt. You're waiting until you're not scared anymore, right? His reaction is probably never going to be something that you feel like, yeah, you know what? He's going to scream in my face and I'm okay with that. He's going to threaten me. That's okay. I'm good. You may not feel that. Sometimes you have to teach yourself in the moment. You learn by doing. Courage is built by action. You're not going to learn about it in a video or a book. I bet that leaving is not going to feel super calm. You will probably still be afraid. You might feel like you're doing something wrong. You might literally, like in your body, feel this, you're doing something wrong. But it actually doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. All it means is that your nervous system is extremely activated. And that makes sense. So distress tolerance is the skill that lets you take the action that you want to take that supports you while your nervous system is basically screaming. And that's okay. So let's say you decide, I can't keep doing this. I can't. So then he starts to be crying or calm or rages at you, right? They all do different things. Says things like, you're destroying the family, or I don't understand why you're doing this to me. Or he becomes really nice and your body wants relief, right? You're uncomfortable with what he's displaying, any of those things or all of those things. I love when they do all. It's nice and confusing, right? Your body wants relief, but it's not because he is a safe person. It's the discomfort in you is unbearable. So distress tolerance is going to go, I can feel this, but I'm not going back. It's okay. I can be confused. He can be yelling at me, and I can still take the next step. I can feel so guilty, and I can name that as false guilt and not make guilt the driver of my decision. Let me tell you something. Relief is not more important than your freedom. And we get this little quick relief of, okay, I placated this person, I appeased, I complied, I submitted to this person who's making me uncomfortable. And I did that by staying uncomfortable. Now, we think we're getting rid of the discomfort, but what you're doing is abandoning yourself and putting somebody else's feelings up here, which is really the hierarchy of an abusive relationship. Their feelings do matter more than yours. And you're conditioned in that way. Because if you ever try to assert yourself, they get more angry. The practice of distress tolerance, warning, will also come with that. As you practice distress tolerance and you're like, I'm sitting in this feeling, he's yelling at me, I can do this, I'm going to keep going, it's going to feel awful and you're going to want to give up on yourself because they're escalating. They make it harder, and then that in turn obviously makes it harder for you. So when you're actually learning this skill, I'm not going to pretend it's easy, but it is still the most important skill. In really simple terms, and I love taking these concepts and just making it kind of simple. You leave him, right? He's going to be unhappy. He's going to be mad. He's going to be hurt, confused, cruel, desperate, cold. He'll play the victim. He'll accuse you of something. He'll threaten you. He'll act like you blindsided him or say, you never loved me, or you destroyed everything. You ruined our family. I don't understand. All the things, right? They're all different. They're all humans. They're all going to say whatever they say. And so you might want to stay in the conversation until he's okay and kind of go back to placating, and you want him to stop feeling this at you, right? They're very loud all the time. It takes over. Their feelings are so big to them that they make it your problem. But since when is this person's unhappiness the thing that's going to have final authority over the decisions that you make for yourself? That's how you have lived in this relationship. It's part of what makes it abusive. So of course, when you're leaving an abuser, they're going to do everything they possibly can to keep you. So this is the skill that helps you stay with yourself. So let him say, how could you do this towards me? And you feel your whole body pull towards him, wanting to make that feeling for him stop. You don't want him to feel like you're doing something to him. You wish that he would just understand, right? That he's doing it to himself. His own behavior got him here. And that's what leads you to explain, which leads you to stay in the cycle. But if you had distress tolerance, he would say, how could you do this to me? And you would know that that feels bad, that activates your guilt, but that you have in fact not done anything to him. And then it helps you because you can sit in that feeling. I'm going to sit in this guilt, but I'm not going to change anything I'm doing, even though I feel guilty. So it's not necessarily going to change that you have the feeling. It's going to allow you to tolerate the feeling long enough that you don't have to do anything different. Now, what I call the good woman training, which is really just how to be a woman in the patriarchy, right? In many ways, it's actually toxic femininity, which is the actual definition of the word, not the way that the red pill guys actually use that. But women who have this good woman training, basically all of us, we're trained to monitor and make other people, especially men, but other people feel better, to take that on. We're like, who's upset, who's disappointed, who feels left out, and be the person who's reassuring and forgiving and explaining and all the things, right? So we call it kindness when it comes from women. We call it kindness. She's caring. She's a good woman. She's a good wife, good mother, good daughter. You don't want to talk to your mom, but you answer anyway? Absolutely. The obligation of things, including sex, but the obligation of so many things for women, if you do it and you perform your obligation well, you're a good woman. But in relationships, this is terrible. But it's also why a lot of women get victimized in these relationships, because if you operate with that training, where are you? Do you even exist in this? This is what I mean about it being invisible. Where are you in this? Where are your feelings? If everyone else's feelings are more important than yours, do you have space for you? Do you even know how you feel? Because if his pain is now your responsibility, he's upset, so now you have to own that. He's upset, you have to fix that. Then he's going to use pain to keep access to you because it works. He'll just say, I need you, and you feel responsible. He'll say, I can't believe you would leave me. And then you're going to start to question the decision that you made, which you know is necessary because he's abusive. And here's the thing. If we cut through this, I have spoken to thousands of women over the last few years. And the thing that most women are afraid of is his reaction. You're afraid of leaving. You're afraid of other things. Don't get me wrong. But like his response to you leaving him. You are afraid of the rage, the coldness, the guilt, that he's going to fall apart, what's going to happen after, the fact that he's going to smear you to everyone, the mean things he'll say, the looks, the way he'll threaten you, you make me feel like a monster, all those things. Now, the fear is important. I'm not saying just get over it, tolerate it. Now, I don't want to just skirt past the fact that there are plenty of women that also feel fear of physical danger, legal danger, financial, stalking, all those things. Those need an actual safety plan, not just distress tolerance. Those things are different. But the emotional fear that keeps women stuck. You don't want to be seen as the bad guy. You don't want to be the villain in his story. You don't want to hurt him. Now, it's interesting because in an abusive relationship, this is a man that's been hurting you for how long, right? But you don't want to hurt him. And I'm not going to sit here and say that no perpetrator of abuse is hurt by the fact that you're leaving, but they're not losing you, their wife that they love so much. They're losing control and access. They are more hurt by the fact that they're losing something, not you, right? You don't want to be misunderstood, I get it, or being hated by someone that you spent all this time trying to love in the best way possible and support, but sometimes it's unavoidable. Sometimes that's just how they feel, but how they feel is not your job to fix. What about you? I want women to come back to themselves and figure this part out. You may not stay in a relationship because you want it. It's because you can't tolerate somebody else's reaction to you making this decision for yourself because he's making you feel like your decision is wrong. I want to go a little bit deeper into what this really means, okay? You have a feeling, and that feeling, let's just say, sucks, right? Guilt, anger, obligation, fear. It's a sucky feeling. You want it to stop right away. Distress tolerance is not going to make you stop feeling. You are a human being with a multitude of feelings. That's normal. You're not going to become cold, and distress tolerance is not going to make you super calm all the time or like making you ignore parts of yourself. It is coping with that. Like guilt is present. Ooh, I feel it. I feel the guilt. I feel the unhappiness. I feel the discomfort. I can feel that. Fear is here. Fine. Sadness, the overwhelming, profound sadness of leaving these relationships. Okay, that can be there. You can miss him. You can want to call him. You can want to not file for divorce, but you can sit in the feeling. So have the feelings, miss him. Don't go back. Feel guilty. Don't go back. Don't stay. You can feel scared and panicked because he's mad. That's a nervous system response. You can't change the feeling, but you can change your reaction to it. So I've been talking all about leaving, okay? This is a skill that you're going to use to leave this person. Now, perhaps you've already left. Perhaps you are planning your exit. This skill is so good post-separation because the truth is, leaving can often be harder. It brings in a whole new bag of tricks from perpetrators of abuse. So you might need distress tolerance in a million moments after you leave. Terrible text messages after you leave, and he's accusing you of something and you want to defend yourself. That feeling of defensiveness, it's discomfort. Tolerate it. I can feel unhappy. I can feel defensive, and I can choose to not defend myself. He might act like the victim, right? Abusers are so good at playing the victim. I get it. You might want to prove what actually happened and say your piece. You want to respond. You want to tell people what really happened. Don't bother. Sit in the discomfort of this, okay? Sometimes, especially in like a legal situation or even safety one, you need things like documentation and strategy, and that connects to wanting to fix the narrative. That's not defensiveness. Sometimes you need to correct the record, and that's not what I'm talking about. You can still document those things. I don't mean tolerate everything he says, tolerate everything he does. The tolerance allows you to respond appropriately instead of just have these emotional reactions because you're blinded or overwhelmed by all of these god-awful feelings. This is why what I'm saying is that emotionally, you actually just need the skill of not chasing every distortion, every story that this guy makes up. You don't have to actually respond to every accusation that he makes because you're trying to explain something to a person who is unequivocally committed to misunderstanding you at every possible chance. So if they're going to tell you things like you destroyed the family and you want to respond with like, no, I didn't, you did. And distress tolerance would be like, ooh, this is injustice. You know, I'm being misrepresented, but I'm still not going to hand him my feelings and hand him a win here by making him the person who can work me up. I can stay calm. Now, this skill, as I said, expands so far beyond abusive relationships. Leaving him might be the first place that you start to feel it and use this skill, but it's actually going to show up everywhere. Your mother may not understand a decision you make. She may not understand why you're not close with her, and you might want to hit decline on her calls. Okay, now you feel uncomfortable because she's making you feel guilty, right? How come you're not answering? I haven't talked to you, whatever. I don't know what your relationship with your mother is like. Could be your sister, could be your friend. Your friend might think you should be over your divorce, over your abusive relationship, whatever. Your boss might be disappointed that you didn't complete something in time or that you won't take on more responsibility that is not yours, whatever. So many people in your life will have opinions about what you do and what you think, decisions you make. Who cares, right? It's easy to say who cares. Distress tolerance allows that. There's always going to be somebody calling you difficult and sensitive and dramatic. All kinds of people. There are predatory, manipulative people, exploitative people all around us. Distress tolerance is going to help you. If your nervous system equates anybody disapproving with some kind of danger, you're going to keep trying to become acceptable to everyone. And then, are you even acceptable to you? It's exhausting, and truthfully, you're set up to fail. This is exactly how women lose themselves again and again in so many ways, not just your abusive relationship. So you go ahead and you tell your mom you're not going to a family event because you're busy. Okay, she's disappointed. Old you is like, oh my God, fix it, explain, help her understand. Well, self-leadership is like, she can be disappointed and I can still know my limit. I'm still not going to that family event. And here's the thing. In an abusive relationship, these guys are very worked up, right? They're either playing the victim, acting angry, stonewalling you, but you never have calm. So in this relationship, when you wanted peace, you had to placate and appease and submit all the time. Peace meant he wasn't mad or you weren't fighting right now or, he came back in some way that felt less stonewalling of you or whatever. But none of this is actually peace, right? It's temporary relief from threat. So after you leave, I bet you won't feel peaceful right away. So many women talk about feeling empty or numb or lonely or still feel guilty. You feel very exposed. All your business is out there now. You might miss the intensity. It's actually why so many women talk about it feels boring in a new healthy relationship sometimes because you're so used to chaos. So we try to sometimes seek out that. It's very human nature. That's not specific to women. But if you miss the relief after he freaks out, again, it's this roller coaster. Well, freedom is going to feel kind of uncomfortable then. But again, did you choose something wrong or are you learning something new? You're learning how to sit in a totally different time of your life, to sit in new feelings. It's weird because nobody's yelling at you, nobody's punishing you, nobody's demanding an explanation, and you may not feel calm. You might be very panicked about that, and it makes sense. But sometimes that leads us back to toxic relationships or into the abusive relationship or never leaving it. So stop organizing your body and your mind around this person and know that you have the right to make your own decisions and prioritize your own feelings. Now, where distress tolerance makes you so much harder to control, and this is why this is such a powerful skill, is like if guilt works on you, if that controls you, he's going to use it. He's going to use anger. In fact, it has been studied, right? We know that anger is one of the top skills that abusive men use to control you. And I always say that it's very bespoke abuse, right? If that works on you, he's going to use it on you. For example, stonewalling did not work on me. So mine didn't do that. But stonewalling works well on a lot of people. Mine was much more into like filibustering and relentless talking. And it just made me crazy and it would make me break down. That was used to control me. But if silence or disappointment or being misunderstood, telling you who you are and it doesn't match what you see, then he's going to use false stories. He's going to use disappointment or silence. It's all going to be what works well. Distress tolerance disrupts that. Now, nothing makes you immune, but it interrupts that. It makes you less available for emotional coercion. That's when you can kind of sit there and be like, he's calling me selfish. Doesn't feel good, but I know that I'm not selfish. So I can sit in that. You never loved me. And you start to want to defend that. And you're like, old me used to prove that I loved him. I'm not doing that anymore. And you calm down, take deep breaths. Distress tolerance is huge, okay? Now, self-loyalty, it means that you let other people have their feelings and you get to have your feelings. That's a big deal. Other people's feelings can matter. This is not a matter of I have feelings and your feelings don't matter. Perhaps that's how the abuser is. You don't want to be like that. I care that someone else is overwhelmed or upset, but it doesn't mean that I have to change what I'm doing. Perhaps in a healthier dynamic, you might listen to someone else and hear their perspective. It still may not change what you're doing, but you're not being coerced into making that change through other people projecting their feelings onto you and making you feel like you need to fix it. Someone else can be disappointed. That's okay. Let them be disappointed. You can care that they're disappointed and not make them not disappointed. Someone else can be angry and you can listen to them being angry and listen to why they're angry, but it doesn't mean that you need to do anything to fix their anger. Leaving makes him angry, so you stay. Let him be angry. I'm sorry that you're so upset that I'm leaving you. And that's it. You're still leaving. Self-loyalty doesn't mean you're mean to other people. It just means that you care about yourself as well as other people, and in fact, just above other people. Other people's negative feelings doesn't mean you have to do one damn thing. The real work here is under pressure, not abandoning yourself. Easy to practice these things with safe people, and I actually suggest that's where you practice these skills. Somebody that's not going to really like hammer you with pressure, but really the tests are going to be getting out of really toxic, abusive, or emotionally immature relationships where this kind of stuff is being used at you. So when you're leaving someone or you've already left, whatever, again, in all the areas of your life, the deeper work is learning how to stay with yourself when there's pressure from him, family, the feelings, guilt, old beliefs, whatever. The old pattern says, make it stop, make them understand, do something. The new pattern is, I can feel this, I can breathe through this, I can get support for this, I can wait before I respond, I can take some time and think about my values, and I'm not going to be completely blinded by my own panic. You're staying loyal to what you know is right for you. It requires some space. Distress tolerance needs you to kind of step back and really build that skill. It's really hard. I'm not going to pretend that it's easy. But truthfully, if you're trying to leave someone, or maybe you've already left and you're just getting pulled back in by all of these methods that I'm describing, it's not more information that you need. It is more skills. And in fact, I am big on teaching skills. We could talk all day, right? As a relationship coach, I'm not a therapist, but people often think that coaching is like, let's talk about your childhood and your beliefs and what got you here. Those things matter. But me personally, I am big on action. What are the missing skills that you need in order to move your life forward? I talk to so many women who already know exactly what they're dealing with. You know he's abusive. You know what this is costing you. You know that this is the worst thing for you. You're not safe. You need to leave. You're being destroyed. But so what? You know those things. But when you can't tolerate being seen in that way, when you can't tolerate the discomfort of leaving or the discomfort of making decisions for yourself, you're going to revert back to your old ways. Let him be mad. Let them misunderstand. It's okay. You can be activated and let the guilt come through you and not do anything differently. Subscribe if you're not already. And if this is the work that you're doing, you're trying to leave, you're trying to stay gone, you're trying to stop going back, or you are out of an abusive relationship and these patterns are still showing up in your life, I want to invite you to join me in Boston, Massachusetts in November 2026, the 13th to 15th. I'm hosting an event called Unbreakable and Irreplaceable, The Self-Loyal Woman with Dr. Peter Salerno. We are hosting an amazing 3-day weekend workshop that is going to teach you everything you need to know about what it is to live an amazing, full life where you are loyal to yourself, you know who you are, you're comfortable being visible in the world, you have relational discernment. This is a life-changing opportunity. Join us at Unbreakable and Irreplaceable, The Self-Loyal Woman. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.